After a strong showing against Texas, a few defensive linemen deserve more snaps for the Florida Gators in the future.
You are Locked On Gators, your daily podcast on the Florida Gators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Locked On Gators, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day every day. We are available daily and free reviews in the podcast and on YouTube. Happy Thursday. I'm Brandon Olsen. Find me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my written work with New York Giants on SI and all my Florida Gators written work with swampsignal.substack.com. I will take this time to shamelessly plug that yesterday we had an article about how Florida's pass rush destroyed the Texas Longhorns offense. We had 9 all-22 clips in it. It was a hell of a good time to write it. So the link's in the description below to that. Today's episode of Locked On Gators is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet just $5. And if your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Download the app today. And the Florida Gators absolutely up front dismantled the Texas Longhorns. And I do think that it's important to say up front, right? Because the secondary got beat kind of a lot. Like Jeramiah McCloud, when you watch the film, Jeramiah McCloud got beat quite a few times. And I did say after the game that was probably his worst game as a Florida Gator, which means hopefully can only go up from here, right? Both of the safeties I thought played really poorly. I don't think Jordan Castell or Bryce Thornton did anything spectacular. I know Jordan Castell had a pick on a ball that was thrown directly at him. But I don't think they did anything particularly great either. I mean, Bryce Thornton had a couple of nice pass rush reps, but am I judging a safety on that? No, that's Jamal Adams. The defensive line, though, dominated, just absolutely destroyed Texas up front. And a lot of that was led with guys that at the start of the year, or even just a couple of weeks ago, were not significant contributors to this defensive line, right? Because this defensive line has had multiple injuries. George Gums missed a game. Caleb Banks is, I'm going to think he's out for the year. I'm going to feel pretty good about that one. You've had injuries stack up at different points. Mekhi Boyero missed a couple games earlier this year. But against Texas, they kind of all came alive, right? And Brien Taylor Jr. he rushed the passer 17 times and had 5 pressures. It was listed as 6 before recording, or I guess we'll say earlier this week, it was listed as 6 pressures and 17 rushes. But PFF took 1 away for whatever reason. I don't care necessarily. But Brien Taylor Jr. destroyed. Absolutely feasted there. And I think we've come to a point where the Florida Gators, and usually we talk about the depth chart specifically. Here we're more talking about a rotation. Or usually I talk about one player. Here we're talking about a rotation. I think the Florida Gators defensive line rotation needs to be focused more on, and look, still a lot of guys playing, right? Still a lot of guys getting snaps. But Brien Taylor Jr., I think, needs to play more, or at least more consistently, because I do also think that part of this was the defensive approach in this game. There were a lot of, I've said before, there were a lot of schematic things that Florida was doing to try and attack this defensive line or this offensive line of the Texas Longhorns. And part of that just meant, hey, might help us to have some lighter guys out there, right? And that is totally fine. But against Texas, Florida came out in a ton of overfronts, 2 edges outside the tackles, 2 defensive interior players outside the guards. And so that kind of allowed you to be a little lighter. You didn't really see many snaps where defensive linemen were lined up right over the center. There were some, but not many. And so you kind of got to go lighter in that approach. Brien Taylor Jr. thrived in that. I don't know if on a week-to-week basis he's going to play that many snaps. He should still play a good bit. He's not going to have the Caleb Banks emergence that we saw in 2024. But if he could do even just some of that, that will open up the pass rush for the rest of the defense or defensive line as well. True freshman Jeramiah McCloud, another guy that should be playing more. We spoke about this a couple weeks ago too with Jeramiah McCloud, where he's just been playing good ball. Like there's no other way to put it. Jeramiah McCloud has just been playing good football lately. And he's someone who, as a true freshman, and going back to his high school tape, we spoke about this, where he's someone who just wins with a very good first step for someone his size and relentless effort. That's still how he's winning. That's still working. And I think that that's very impressive to say that you could do that in high school, come over and translate to the SEC right away. I do think a lot of those guys where it's like, yeah, I win with my quick first step and then relentless effort. I think a lot of those guys take a bit to get better, because oftentimes when you say that, it's like, all right, well, they're probably not very technically sound. And Jeramiah McCloud's not the cleanest technician, but he's playing some damn good ball right now. And so I do think that you got to say, hey, he should play more. Brandon Bett barely played against Texas. I don't know the exact reasoning, but I can say that the defensive line played at a very high level without him out there. And I'm not saying that he played, it was like 10 or 11 snaps. It was nothing big, but sure, maybe he still has that role out there. But if it means that Jeramiah McCloud, who hasn't played more than, I think he hasn't played more than 20 snaps in a game this year, if he plays 22, 24, and Brendan Bett only gets, 6 snaps or something like that, then hey, maybe that's just the cost of doing business, right? That's just what you got to deal with there. Jamari Lyons has not been playing well for basically this entire season. I think he's had a couple flashes, but he hasn't been playing well after what many expected to be a big year for him. After, 2024 was supposed to be a big year for him. He got hurt right before the season and then missed the entire season. And then 2025 hasn't made the splash plays. He hasn't been a dominant player at all. He also doesn't look like he's fully healthy. I'll be honest there. Like you see him on the sideline. He looks like he's wincing every time. You see him walking around after plays and he looks like he's kind of like, I don't want to say limping, but he doesn't look like he's walking comfortably right now. And maybe that's him still dealing with the injury from last year, which I know it's been over a year at this point. But I will make this point very clear. Guys that big take a really long time to recover from lower leg injuries. Guys that big take a long time to recover from those lower leg injuries. That's a lot of weight, a lot of mass that they got to carry around. It takes a bit to bounce back. That just is what it is at that point. But I mean, this was just a fantastic performance from the interior defensive line specifically, but also with just some of those guys like Brien Taylor Jr., Jeramiah McCloud played great. I don't care what PFF grades say. I'm sure they're not amazing, but just because if I'm not mistaken, no one on the Florida Gators defense got an awesome grade, which is an important indicator to remember that PFF grades don't necessarily matter because they don't know their responsibilities. They don't know the assignments. Stats do matter. Stats are helpful. Grades, not so much. So I will say that, yeah, Brendan Bett, Jamari Lyons, maybe they see a few less snaps. If Brien Taylor Jr., if Jeramiah McCloud do play more snaps, probably see a bit more production even further along on this defensive line moving forward. Wouldn't hate it, especially if you're going, hey, we know this team's going to try to be very finesse and try to throw, or like finesse running and throwing the football like Texas. Maybe you go, hey, that's going to be our duo that just hammers the reps. And against the Texas A&M that's trying to run the football more, sure. Maybe you go, hey, we're going to go heavier. You've got that luxury on the defensive line, and that can't be overstated. Having a defensive line that can do whatever. Like, do you guys remember the Javon Dexter days? Like, it was just a few years ago, so I figured it was a recent call, but like he was playing every snap, and they were just like, hey, we don't have anybody else that can contribute here. You're not in that spot anymore. You don't have that situation anymore if you're the Florida Gators. Now you have depth. You get to work around things. You can do that. It's a great time to see. We are about to be joined by Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. Moved it to Thursday instead of the usual Wednesday because the scheduling with the Texas A&M hosts worked out to be on Wednesday, so that's just how it went. But we are about to be joined by Hayden Hansen when we get back with Locked On Gators. When the opening whistle blows on a new repair, get your crew moving forward with Supply House. Order today and see parts on your doorstep tomorrow. Over 280,000 plumbing, HVAC, and electrical items from the most trusted brands in the business. Their real-time inventory and honest lead times keep you from punting on projects, while their industry-leading customer service always has your blind side covered. Their Trademaster perks, by the way, like priority shipping, dedicated support, make the whole process that much smoother, and it's free. Join the free Trademaster program today and score serious perks like priority shipping, lower prices, and a dedicated support line. Visit supplyhouse.com to sign up for free and use promo code SHCollege5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Real people, real service. The NFL season is here, and the NFL and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. Right now, new customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet, put down $5, and if it hits, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Maybe you want to bet the under on a game. Maybe you want to bet the over on players' receiving yards. You can do anything with it. It's beautiful. It's fun. It's FanDuel, and make money. Never really a bad thing, right? So what are you waiting for? Visit FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today and get started. Joining me now for Locked On Gators is Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. And yeah, first time in a month that we've been able to not start off with what happened in a loss. And we get to say, how good does it feel to be back in the win column?
Feels good. I mean, I've been saying it all week that what this team's capable of when we go out there and play all like complete ball, all four phases, and that's what we did. We were the better team, and we got the result we wanted. And share their stuff we can still clean up, which is scary. Once we clean up all the little mistakes we still made, that will be even better. That's what we're looking to do before A&M.
Speaking of little mistakes, we will rip this Band-Aid off here. The fumble, I got tagged at least 6 times immediately after the play by people that were in Discords, whatever it was, that were tagging me to be like, oh, well, you're on the show. I got to give you some crap on it. And I will also say this. Fumbles are killer. You know that. Everyone knows that. I'm not your coach. It's not my place to need to do that. But, yeah, we got to give you some crap for it, I guess. What happened on it?
Yeah, I mean, guy just made a good play. I caught it. As I was going to chuck it, he punched it out, so props to him. I just got to chuck it away faster, but that's a tough one. It's always the guy you don't see. But first one in 4 years, hopefully the last one, and can always learn from it.
Yeah, it's just like, I will say this, regardless of the fumble and probably the cleanest offensive game we've seen so far. How did it feel knowing that going into the game, I think a lot of people were talking about Texas's run defense being so good, allowing, I think it was 60 rushing yards per game going into that one. And you guys kind of just, I mean, for lack of a better term, just kind of whooped their ass at the line of scrimmage for the entirety of the game on offense.
Yeah, I mean, Texas's run defense is pretty good, but I mean, we're also good, and that's what a lot of people kind of forget when you start 1-3 with all the mistakes and stuff, shooting ourselves in the foot. But when we go out there and get close to a complete game on offense, I mean, you see what we can do. I mean, the rest of the people on our schedule are going to be as good, if not better than Texas. But we're also better than Texas, So we have to go out there and play like that, though. Every game, we can't be inconsistent. We got to be consistent. Got to block out like the same people that were kind of giving us backlash and like jumping ship are now the same ones that are giving us props. So it's always good to memorize that and just drown out the noise, regardless of what it is. Just stay consistent and go play the best ball we can.
Yeah, I'll say for me, I think my favorite thing from that game offensively was just, and I had said this a bunch of times on the show leading up to, I mean, throughout the entirety of the season, of just like, it felt like the offensive line issues were more about communication than actually going out there and getting beat. And it felt like those were pretty eliminated during this game. So I don't know what the hell you guys did during the bye week, but very, very happy that it seems like, at least again, from the outside looking in, felt like the communication was really cleared up there, and there were no, I'm sure there were some, you guys call them MAs. I'm sure there were some somewhere, but felt like just way fewer, way cleaner football for you guys offensively.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's what it comes down to. I mean, when I say a little thing, that's what I'm talking about. Like, there's little mistakes that mess other people up on the offense and things like that, or going to the wrong assignment. And in this league, you can't afford to do that all the time. And once you minimalize it, like we did this last game, then you'll get the result you want.
And I need to know what the locker room was like after that one, because I mean, not only did you guys beat Texas, but knocked them completely out of the top 25 after that one.
Yeah, I mean, the locker room was ecstatic, as you can imagine. Long overdue. We wanted that one bad, and we got it. I mean, just music, dancing, recruits were in there. I mean, it was a good feeling. And it's just one that you want to keep feeling versus the other one that we felt the past 3 weeks.
What was Billy Napier like afterwards? I feel like, we talk about the losses as well. I don't want to just go, okay, you won, I don't care anymore. Now that's not the same amount of clicks or anything like that. And I also know that we've gotten some all-timers from Billy after wins, where you get the locker room clip, and I think it was Trey Smack that one time yelled, "How about them Gators?" And it was just a great showing. So what was it like this time after the win?
Yeah, it was just like, I mean, this is the first time this year that we've put together a complete game. He's like, you're my guy. There's no one else I'd rather do it with. You've seen what we can do. And he's like, enjoy the win. But he's like, it's right back to work. He's like, can you be consistent? Can you do it consistently? You're going to have everybody texting you now. And he's like, can you block out the noise and get back to work? That's basically all he said. And then, he played some music, danced with us a little bit, and it was a good night.
What are Napier's moves like?
No comment.
Okay. I'll tell you this. You saying no comment makes me think that they were probably what I anticipate them being like. And so we'll leave it at that. But as someone that was in the locker room, as someone that's on the field, what do you most attribute the offensive turnaround to? Because and look, let's also say 29 points total, 27 on offense. We know that you guys are capable of more than that, but that was what won the game this time. Like that, and that was a big part of the plan when you run the football more, and when you run the football well, less opportunities to score there. But 33 points in the USF, LSU, Miami games combined, and then you go out there and almost top that in this game alone. So what do you attribute most of that turnaround to?
Yeah, I mean, I think it kind of goes to about every position group. Obviously getting Dallas Olsen back is a huge plus. I mean, you saw, that guy's a freak of nature. So he'll be a good weapon for us going forward. But also credit to DJ for being a leader. And he could have easily, after that LSU game, checked out. He could have fell into the criticism and checked out, but he kept leading the team, and he led us to a victory this weekend. And getting some firepower back at receiver, DJ continuing to be a good leader, the O-line stepping up, protecting their ass off. It all just feeds off each other at the end of the day, and it's really motivating to see, because when one person does something good, the other group gets energy from it, and they do something good.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was the most fun I've had watching a game in a long, regardless of wins or losses. It just like it felt, I don't know, it just felt like a different game than we've seen really at all this year, including the Long Island one, which was just an ass whooping. But it was tough in the Long Island game because it's 55-0. But I'm also just like, well, it's Long Island. Like I feel like for as far as entertainment purposes, this one was far and away ahead of it. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than simply move, right? Mazda delivers confidence with every ride, with more IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus awards than anyone else. And you can make everyday drives feel like anything but. From smooth handling to intuitive controls, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any season. Like our players, we sweat every detail, because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. And one of the tools that help make a huge difference for business owners is Quote, formerly Open Phone. It's the same great business phone system you've heard me talk about before years ago, and continuously, always beautiful. It's fun. I'm not gonna lie. I like having companies that are just back and here and long standing, like myself. And here's why it matters: every missed call is money left on the table. When every customer conversation counts, you need a phone system that keeps you connected 24/7. Quo is the #1 business phone system that streamlines customer communications. It works right through an app or on your phone or computer. So no more carrying 2 phones and relying on a landline. It's not 1983 anymore. See why over 90,000 businesses trust Quo, formerly OpenPhone. Get started free and get 20% off your first 6 months at quo.com/lockedoncollege. That's quo.com/LOCKEDONCOLLEGE. And if you've got existing numbers with another service, Quo will port them over at no extra charge. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. I don't know if you have ever seen, but Cole Kubelik, sorry if I'm mispronouncing his name there, but with SEC Network, he does these weekly write-ups after every game, and he gives shout outs to things that are doing well and doing poorly. First time that I think I've seen him shout you out with this one, where he doesn't say names because he's watching all 22. He doesn't know their names, but he's commenting 89 did some nice things or something like that. Obviously, I think a lot of people look at the fumble and kind of just go, oh, Hayden had a bad game. How do you feel about your performance against Texas overall?
Yeah, I mean, I thought I answered pretty well after the fumble. Obviously, I was pretty frustrated on the sideline, but I knew I was going to be taking the rest of the snaps of the game. I was like, so I could either make this worse or I could make this better, And I knew that ball was going to find me at some point, and we called a play on 3rd down. I kind of recognized the coverage. I was like, all right, this is it. I got to catch this, and I got to get this first down. Like, there's no ifs or buts about it. And caught it, got the first down. Had some pretty good pass pro reps. But there's still stuff I can clean up, especially on the edges, blocking the DNs. There's always some technique things I can fix, and that's what I'm looking to do. But I feel like after that fumble, I bounced back. I kind of showed my mental toughness there.
How much of I guess how much was the fumble in your head there for a second, where as the ball's coming in, are you just like, can't do it again, or is it just completely out by that point?
No, when I was running the route, I was just like, chuck it, dumbass, like tuck the ball. So I mean, when I caught it, I chucked it, and I crossbarred it immediately, got the first down. I mean, it's a good wake up call. I mean, like when you haven't fumbled your whole career, you kind of just think like, oh, I'm good, but once it happens, it's like, damn, like, I got to fix this. And so it'll be a point of emphasis moving forward.
Yeah. I feel like that's one of those things where it's like, oh, like it can't happen to me. And then it does. And it's like, oh, exactly. It did. And you mentioned, blocking on the edges is something that you want to improve with the ends. I was going to ask this a little bit later, but, and I do think that we've talked about this before, but what is it like for you blocking, whether you're in space near the line of scrimmage, where you could be going up against 6'6", 280-pound D end at some point, or D lineman at some point, and then the next rep you could be going up against a 5'11", 190-pound DB. And I will say this: the thing that made me want to ask this was Sharif Denson he was whooping ass over there against Tech. Like, that was a hell of a game. I hope you guys gave him crap for the could have been strip sack where he like swatted both hands down and just missed on that one. But yeah, what is that like for you blocking, especially because you're someone who 6'7", 3/4", right? Is that where? Yeah. So I mean, that height difference is huge for you.
Yeah, I mean, there's two different worlds, as you can imagine. The DNs, you gotta be perfect on your technique. You gotta drive your feet, and if you ever get too high, it's over. You gotta anchor down and really try to get them out of there. But for the DBs, it's hard because you can't really go full speed and just explode into them and try to kill them because they'll make you miss. So you gotta have to come to balance, catch them, get your hands inside, and then get your feet going. Because especially Sharif, in fall camp, he was giving me some problems. Like, I would try to go and hit him now, and he would always shake me or get under me. So I kind of learned you got to come to balance, match their footwork, and then once you get your hands on them, then it's over. You got to get your hands on them, and then it's over. But that's the hard part, is getting your hands on the little guys. Sometimes they'll give you your back. And when they give you your back, that's pretty tough too. But you just got to keep moving with them.
Yeah, I feel like – and I feel like we see this all the time on – like screens and swing passes. I think there was the Dallas Wilson touchdown on the backside of the play. There was you with the DB went under you or three. Like I feel like that's got to be the most difficult thing for someone that's blocking, usually in the trenches, because it happens with offensive linemen too, running on screens, where those guys are just so damn small and so shifty. Like, it seems like you mentioned, like, the hard part is kind of like you got to focus on just getting your hands on them, and then you can worry about everything else. Like, that just seems incredibly difficult when you're dealing with these guys that are, 6 feet, 5'11". And by the way, they also run 4.35, 4.4. Like, that just seems like hell, honestly.
Yeah, well, the first time we ran the same play Dallas Wilson scored on, we ran it in the first half with me and Dallas blocking on the perimeter, the same play, and I blocked it perfectly. The second time we called it, I could tell in his eyes he knew it was coming, and that's partly on me. I kind of set too wide, but yeah, you give them one little inch, they're going to use their speed, and they'll expose you. So you always have to be on your P's and Q's on the perimeter.
Yeah, and I also wanted to ask, because you mentioned earlier when we were talking about the fumble, you were like, oh, after this, like, I know that I'm going to be playing the rest of the snaps. I didn't even realize it until this morning when I was preparing for this, but you have played every single offensive snap since the start of the USF game. Like, I didn't even realize. How do you feel physically with that? Like after a game, what is that like? Because it's a lot. It's pretty much you, DJ Lagway, Austin Barber, Jake Slaughter. Everyone else is taking at least, 5-10 snaps off. A lot of guys are getting 20 at receiver, but you guys have been out there every snap of the game, at least while healthy. So yeah, what's that like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to complain. I mean, this is everything the tight end wants, You want to be in there for every situation. So I always see it as a blessing. I go out there and just show my completeness that I have to my game, that I can do it all, and I will make it clear. There was one snap I did not play, 10P against LSU. Result, I don't know. But, yeah, everything else, I mean, yeah, I just feel like it's a blessing at the end of the day, and it's up to me to take care of my body. You got to know how to get recovery, listen to your body, what you need, stretch, because if you take any of that off after a hard game like Texas, you didn't do recovery, you're going to feel it the rest of the week.
And before I let you go, you get to go back to your home state this weekend. We touched on this a little bit last week, where it was, Texas coming to Gainesville. Now you get to return to your home state. We don't need to talk about last year when you guys went to Texas. Different story. That one's gone. You got the win back. You got your get back. Doesn't matter anymore. What are you most looking forward to this weekend?
I'm looking forward to seeing all my people, before and after the game. I think we got about 55 tickets reserved right now. So pretty big turnout. So I'm excited to go play in front of the day ones.
Is that a thing where you had to because I don't know how this ticketing works for everybody. Is that a thing where you kind of request those tickets earlier, or are you going to teammates like, hey, like, you get X amount of tickets, you want to swing those this way if you don't have someone going?
Yeah. You gotta go to teammates. Everyone gets a certain number, and then you can give them away if you're not using them.
Got it. All right. Well, thank you so much, Hayden. This was Hayden Hansen, Florida Gators starting tight end. Catch him every week on Locked On Gators and every Saturday with your Florida Gators. Thanks again for making Locked On Gators your first listen of the day. Every day we are available daily and free, whether it's in the podcast and on YouTube. We will be back tomorrow. Talk more Florida Gators football. For Locked On Gators, I'm Brandon Olsen. Don't forget to follow me on Twitter at WNS_Brandon. Find all my Florida Gators written work with swampsignal.substack.com. We got 2 free articles every week, 1 paid. Sometimes we got 3 free articles every week. It is what it is. We have some fun with it. And as always, I will see you all next time.